Companion and transcript, I think will help. All right, so it's week 18 here if you are in the framework for faculty and student success course. I'll put the link in the chat for you all to directly access that. We are continuing to talk about alignment. And so in week 16, we were looking at specific skills and then aligning objectives. That would be your module level objectives to your course level outcomes. And then today, we're looking at indicators 2.3C and 2.3D. No thanks. And we're going to talk about reflections and the importance of just reflections in general, and then aligning what we're doing to the program level outcomes. So going back up. So I feel like we've gone down, like we've started at the top. I know a lot of what we did in the first month of this class. We went over the college-wide learning outcomes. And I know Tarla Chan, you're going through those, so hopefully you're checking out some of the stuff that we talked about related to that. And then we go down to the program, course, and then down to that module level objectives. But then now we're going back up. So moving all around our courses, and we're going to look at some course maps today. And I found a really nice document if you're mapping out your course. It's got a lot of good questions that you can ask when you go through that process. The first thing here, we've got Simon Says, secure sealing joints with a nail gun to ensure your course content is solid. That's a solid Simon Says, in my opinion. So as I said already, helping students explore how module level objectives connect to the course level outcomes, and then how those outcomes go towards the program goals. The analogy here is securing your ceiling on your building as you're building to make sure everything is reinforced. The connections are reinforced, and the students can see the overall scope of what you're trying to do in your course. Our objectives here create opportunities for students to reflect on the alignment between module level outcomes and course outcomes, and then demonstrate how these outcomes connect to the broader program level goals. If we're looking at our alignment here, all the way up to the college-wide learning outcomes, this one we tapped as responsibility. And then if you're doing tenure track, this would be a B6 here, evaluating objectives and outcomes. And then for this course, alignment, objectives and outcomes. I'll give you all that code a little bit later. But for now, let's go ahead and jump right into indicator 2.3C. So I'll give you all a second here to read this, and then if you all have examples of a course map, I always like to take time to look at what y'all have worked out and put together. I also have some examples that we can look at later, but I'm going to stop talking for a second and let y'all read this one here about the reflections, and then we're going to talk about it. All right, so not too long of an indicator here, mainly focusing on, as I said earlier, the course map and then a chance for reflection. So let's talk about course maps first. We've gone over that in the past couple of weeks in this course, and I've given you all some links and some pages to go and explore that. Does anybody have a course map that they would want to share or talk about?
I can share the one that I've been working on. It's been I'm kind of rebuilding, well, revising the class as I go, but so I'm adding to it, but I can share mine.
I like the rebuilding because it sticks with the analogy that we have in this course.
Okay, I'll go with that then, just for you.
All right, thanks. Yeah, if you can share, that would be great.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I really liked, oh gosh, the format of one of the resources that I think you had. Am I sharing? Can you
I can
see?
see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, the format I think you had shared from one of the websites previously.
Hmm.
So I'm going through,
Ooh,
I got
it's
my
pretty.
my module name, my module objective. We had talked about last year or last time how my accreditor has their level of objectives kind of grouped together into three.
Hmm.
Um, and then I broke out my learning activities by lecture and lab, and then also this other, which is kind of optional things.
Hmm.
So I do give the students the chapters in their recommended textbook that the information is found in, but I don't assign reading.
Oh, okay.
And then for the learning activities, anything that is bolded, that is an assessed activity versus just an assignment or like a lecture or something. And so all of those then I would transfer over here, where I'm also tracking which exam everything is assessed in.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and I like
So
that you have it's in the exam one, but then also addressed in the final. It's very nice.
yeah. And then I think what I'm thinking about doing, so then up in the, because I have a practical exam for each class that's on the like absolute basic skill they have to have getting or coming out of that class, and I'm trying to figure out where to document that a little bit better,
Mm.
um, because it's more up in this area, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So hold on.
So,
Can you pause on there? I just want to look at these
sure.
CLOs. Hmm. Yeah. That's kind of the overall thing that they need to do. I love it. It's so specific and it's just mapped out uh to me very clearly. Can you go down to the next page? The
Hmm.
where you've got, yeah, all the way down to the module
Hmm.
differentiate sterilization. Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So,
So remind me again, the different levels are for the accreditation, but what do they mean? Like is it
so level one corresponds to the first two levels of blooms.
okay,
And
gotcha.
level two is the middle two levels of blooms, and then level three is the last two.
Okay.
So that makes it easy because I can just look at my preferred blooms chart and fill it in that way rather than just guessing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah,
really great.
but it
Okay.
is what I have found interesting, not so much for this class. I'm also doing this for the other class I'm doing this quarter for chemistry, for clinical chemistry. And what's really interesting is when it's broken down into just three groups, I'm finding that I have almost exclusively level one objectives in that class, even though the verbs vary. So,
Mm.
just visually having that kind of a reminder. Um,
It's for an introductory class. I missed that.
no, it's not.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you want to add more level three, or is that something that?
Um, I am looking at at some industry standards for the associate's level of
Mhm.
this program because there is a bachelor's level. Um, and so I'm kind of before I haven't quite decided yet.
You got to see
Yeah,
what's appropriate for the level that you're teaching at.
right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Can you scroll down some more? I just thought
Yeah, yeah. So I've
this
got
this kind
this.
of stuff is great. Like I love looking at this kind of stuff. So
Yeah, so I
I
have
don't know if
this
anybody else feels the
through
same way, but
the first three modules.
okay.
So
So you're trying to hit upwards of 15 things per, is this per class? How long are your classes? Or like how long are your
how
modules? Let me ask you.
most modules are a week
Okay.
with
Huh?
I mean, so that's all they have all week to do the lectures and any book assignments, I guess, or like things that are turned in from
Hmm.
the lectures. And then the corresponding labs are the week after. So to reinforce the skills that's related to those modules.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
But I
That's
would
awesome.
wanted to let the students kind of remain flexible in their time since it's a hybrid program so that I wasn't saying you have to have all of this done before coming to class today. It's you have all week to complete this and then we'll do the labs next week.
Oh, this is a good flexibility.
Yeah. So I'm
Okay.
trying,
That's
yeah, I think
great.
yeah, so then I've got it outlined for the next
Couple modules.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But a lot of work now and then later on, much easier when you're running the class because everything is just pum 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 right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody else have something similar or a course map that they would like to share? That's a hard act to follow. I have a couple here that I found. Well, one of them is one that I found, and then the other one is I'll give you all a little sneak peek of what we're working on for the AI for Everyone course. But I mean, I don't know, even looking at this one is from Arizona State. It's got all the stuff that we just talked about, um, or that we just looked at, but I think less as less detailed. Um, but you've got your modules, you've got your outcomes. This one's got materials listed, um, which I didn't see that in yours, Tracy, but do they need materials listed? Or is it just
I
uh,
think that that's how I combined that a little bit so that
oh, okay.
I listed it out by lecture and lab,
Gotcha. Okay.
and then included the sources for the stuff that way.
Okay, cool. And then this is, like I said, this is something that we're working on in the TLC. So I've been tasked with creating a course on AI and text. And then this is what we be focusing on. This is an example of one of the modules. It's pretty simple, um, but these are the outcomes that we're hoping people can do by the end of this course. Give me just a second here. My phone's buzzing. Kelly, go ahead.
Um, in IT, um, we are teaching. So, for example, I teach Linux,
Mhm.
and there's an industry certification that is mapped
Mhm.
to the outcomes. So, it's not necessarily I wrote it, but
Mhm.
it's available to me that I use with my class
Yeah.
to, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and like they do a chapter a week, and we go through it, and then we measure, their outcomes based on their success.
Yeah,
Um,
so like everything's pretty much mapped out already. You're just
correct,
in charge of the assessments.
correct.
Assessments.
Yep.
I mean, that's nice. That to me is a perfect situation. I mean,
Yeah.
because Tracy's in there and she's like putting all that information in. But if you have something that's already kind of mapped out and then you just have to make it
Right.
adjusted for your individual class.
So
Um,
can I share my screen? I can show you what it looks like. Is that
yeah,
cool?
yeah, I love
All
that.
right. So let me show you. I think you guys should be able to. Can you guys see the document possibly, or did I just share the wrong
Oh,
screen?
no, I can see it. You're good.
Okay.
It says Lab Sim section to
Yep.
Linux Pro.
Yep.
Okay.
So each chapter, so like for example, chapter 0 is an introduction, right?
Mhm.
And this is the first week. And what this does is it just gets them warmed up with Linux, and it helps me know that they're actually accessing the right material because I get the report.
Sure.
And then it breaks down per chapter as I scroll through this document. You can see, for example, what outcome we're trying to measure and or cover, like a topic text editors,
Mhm.
and then where it's located in the curriculum. And then I can validate that whether they did it or they're having trouble with it. I can adjust the curriculum or, obviously measure it. But they give us this literally built in, because IT changes so much that we have to edit this from time to time, but usually the person we're getting the curriculum through does it also.
Mm,
You know what
mm,
I mean?
yeah.
So it gives me all my different objective mappings, where they're located, and then further into the document, it talks about they call it objectives, but the objectives and then the outcomes obviously are whether they're successful or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes with IT, you look at your grades and you go, wow, students either get A's or F's. And I had a dean a long time ago ask me that question: why do your students get A's or F's? And I said, because they know it or they don't. There's kind of no middle ground with what I teach. And
Mhm.
she goes, okay, that's cool. I mean, there still are middle grounds if students aren't doing their end, their part.
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, this is an example of something that we have access to.
Yeah, that's nice. It's a definitely a good start, and it's a good uh like almost like a checklist of things that
Oh
you need
yeah, and
to.
the coolest part is the industries. This is what they want. This is what they're telling us. These people need to be able to do to
Mhm.
be a Linux professional or to be a Microsoft professional or whatever course we're teaching.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of working at a technical college for sure, is that you have industry that has a specific, you know, list
Oh
of
yeah,
skills that the students need, and then as long as you're working towards those, I think I'd like that list that you showed, but I think it was lacking. I was saying that, it's got everything except for the assessment, but then that's kind
correct,
of where you come in and decide how you're going to
correct. And
assess
yeah,
that.
absolutely, absolutely.
So
And
it's definitely a good thing to have though.
it actually states that the assessment, they're required to have a 70 or higher to be successful. And then there's a certification that they have to score to get to be certified. They have to score above the minimum to get the certification.
Mhm.
But breaking down each objective, that's exactly where I come in. Is every week we're learning something new, and how are they doing with it? And then I can adjust if needed. If I notice everybody's struggling on something, then I make an adjustment to make sure we go over that again, or
Yeah,
I
nice.
approach it in a different direction, from a different direction.
Yeah, I got you. Very cool. All right, so let me see. Yeah, so thank you, Kelly, for sharing, and then Tracy also thank you for sharing before. I wanted to talk about this one a little bit more. So yeah, it looked like that was perfectly mapped out the module objectives. For this one, the course that we're creating here, I added in the materials, which is always just nice to have, just, when you're trying to put it all together, gathering up all your materials beforehand. For the activities here, we are going with a Learn framework for this course, where we start with listening. Then we give them a simulated story that they can like click around and explore. Then it's apply, where their students are going in and actually doing the work here. And then this is what I wanted to focus on, especially in regards to the indicator this week, is reflect. So we have reflections built in to our modules where they look at their experience and think about how it went. And for this one, in this this module here, they're creating some habits, and they're using AI to help to try to find which habits they should be focusing on. And the reflection is after you've gone through this process and interacted with the AI, we actually have them using the AI to come up with the reflection questions. So the prompt that they would say is, based on our interaction, can you give me some reflection questions to reflect on this? I can't remember the exact wording, but that gives the students a chance to think about their learning, kind of that metacognition, where most of the time students are in the class, they're learning, they're getting a bunch of stuff thrown at them, but then do they realize like what do they think about the learning and how it was presented, how the lesson went, and then how does that relate? Can they see how that relates to the higher levels, the course learning objectives, or sorry, the course learning outcomes, or the program learning outcomes? So yeah, if you see here, you can design a class discussion, assignment, or quiz for students to think about and make connections between module level objectives and course level outcomes. I don't expect this, so if you don't have it, that's completely okay. But I'm curious if anybody has this, number one, in their class, or has thought about including some sort of reflection on well, just reflections in general, or reflections on how what they learn in the module is connected to the course level outcomes. I guess I'm going to make this interactive for you all. For the people who have this just on in the background, I'll put a poll in the chat here in Zoom. So we call it reflections in your course. Have them.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Could it be a verbal reflection and not just a written reflection? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this says here discussion. So if you're talking
Okay.
with your students about it,
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, we do that. Okay. Right on. Sorry
um,
about that.
no, it's all good.
Did you just put up a poll?
I'm filling it in now.
Okay. I thought I missed it. Sorry.
And one more here. I mean, this is really, I just thought of this on the fly. So I'm putting this in to library. I'm also trying to figure out these polls and quizzes. I like the interactive aspect. That's it? Yeah, there we go. So reflections in your course. Have them, want to have them, thought about having them, spelling. Never thought of it, or not interested. have them. Oh, so many of you all have them. So somebody's got to hop off mute and share how you use reflections.
I can do that. I
Go
wanted
ahead,
to give
Tracy.
somebody else a chance, but I will. So there's two things that I can think of. And the first is that in the very first course, it's actually a prereq. It's Introduction to Medical Laboratory Technician. So CAH 110. They have to write a paper on the different areas of the lab and what they learned about as far as what happens in all of those. And then they also have to say whether or not they're going to continue pursuing the program.
Oh,
What I've done is then in the very last class, they write a capstone. It's their capstone project. They have to do a paper, and I have them reflect back on what they see the role of the MLT in the lab. And so I'm planning on making those two a little bit more connected. So like go back and read your paper from
mm,
CAH 110 and reflect on how maybe that idea has changed over the year. So that's kind of a big one as far as reflection goes. But I also have them, when they're doing their rotations, I have them do weekly reflection type assignments, more on like we learn, I mean, it's the boring stuff about compliance and regulations and that kind of stuff, but I have them um, look around their clinical site and see how that content is being um, acted on, I guess. So like how does your lab meet this accreditation requirement? And then so they can
mm.
kind of, and they generally like, oh, we learned about that and it was really boring, but now I see it. So
Yeah,
they kind of do that on their own.
that's the benefit because right, if they kind of half-ass it, then they go, oh, maybe I should have done they kind of look at it more carefully and more clearly, like, oh, I did this, but it wasn't what I should have done. I should have done a better job.
Hmm.
I like that. All right, that's good. Maybe we can hear from one more person about reflections.
Ronald, I can go. What I try to do is at the beginning of the class, for example, this week on Monday, I did give them kind of open-ended questions, what their expectation is of the course, and uh, and what are their near-term goals are, right? So that'll gives me a kind of an opportunity to see how this course and this major they're doing in hand or reflects what their plans are for next 2, 3, 4 academically and career wise and how they relate to their goals each course. And then I'm going to include at the end of the course kind of similar questions and see what they kind of measure from the beginning
Mm,
to the end. It's more of a verbal now, and perhaps I can convert that into something in writing. So that's
mm.
kind of where I'm at in my courses.
Yeah, I think just a simple, like, you don't even need to make it that big of an assignment in Canvas. And you might even just tell them it's not graded or maybe an extra credit, but like, I think there's benefit to them uh like prospectively, this is what I hope that I'm going to achieve in this class. And then if you can rope in, like, if it's on day one, you're going through your syllabus, you're like, these are the course level outcomes, boom, 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 boom. Okay, based on that, what do you all hope to learn? And I mean, hopefully they're going to be like, oh, I hope to do this. I hope to match all of the outcomes by the end. But then circling back at the end and saying, okay, this is where this was. You can even have them like rate how they think they did. Like, oh, I think this was challenging for me because of this. or I think I got this concept really well, and so I think this is going to be helpful for me, moving forward. Kelly, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I forgot to hit unmute. One of the things that I like to do is I'll teach them a skill, or we'll cover an objective, and then I'll ask them, where will this apply in the industry? Where would, for example, um, being able to use specific text editors in Linux. Okay, it's a text editor. Tell me where you think this would be used when you get out into the industry. So I make them think that, kind of outside the box. I know it's a text editor, but why would I use that? Well, not all Linux, here's an example. Not all Linux distros have all the same text editors. There's like 30 of them, but there's two, Vi and Nano, that are in just about every Linux distro. So
Mhm.
number one, knowing that, and number two, where would that apply when you get out in the industry? Editing scripts, editing config files, stuff, editing user account data, stuff like that. So I
Yeah,
I
no,
have them think about it.
and if they say, "Oh, I don't know," then you can be like, "Well, let me take y'all to school. Here's where in the
Absolutely.
industry we are going to be using this. I've had experience using this and that kind of stuff, and show them the
Absolutely.
truth that what they're going to be learning is actually going to be useful. It's like there's always that thing. It's like, when am I ever going to use this? Like think of the young kids that are learning algebra, and they're like, when are we going to use this? And it's like, well, actually, you're going to use it here. If you know how to do this thing, then uh, you're going to be able to
Yep.
be successful in your career. So,
And they don't come to me and go, "Hey, this is dumb. What are you teaching this for?" Well, we already covered that. I'm going to tell you why you're learning this.
yeah,
So I don't have those questions as much as I used to before, since I started
not
doing
at all.
this. Yeah.
That's great. I'm going to put this one here for you all real quick before we move on.
Is that a capital?
No, it's all lower. Because we're talking about reflections. Get it? Ba-dum-bum. Okay. Last chance
I was
here.
going to say your mirror broke because it disappeared for a minute. You're not reflecting,
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah,
you're
right.
reflecting now. You're good.
When I have this here, it
Yeah.
chink, chink, chink.
One-way
Okay.
glass.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so actually that's a really good point about relating it to industry, and a good segue into the next indicator. Before I do that though, for the assignment for 2.3C, share your course map document, outline, or other graphic illustrating how all the components of your course work together on your syllabus page. So I know we've got our syllabus. We all talked about, or we talked about simple syllabus at the beginning. Having that map for your students to see. I know, well, actually, this was something Kelly said before, where Kelly had his list of, objectives that he wanted his students to do, and then left it up. Didn't you say you left it up on the screen one day, and then your students were
I
like,
did.
"What is that? We want that."
Yeah, I do it. I do it for every class now. So I have it up on the screen when we start class. Like on Zoom, I'd have it up on the screen, and we go over, this is what we're going to do today, and this is our goal, and this is what we're going to do this week, and this is our goal,
Mhm, mhm.
and everything. You got
And
this is all
showing
this
them
stuff.
that alignment, I think,
Yep.
is good
Yeah.
for the students to see.
And I email it to them also. Well, message them through Canvas. But yeah.
And I think it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, some students aren't going to look at it. Some students don't care about that stuff. But some students, like if I'm in a class, that kind of transparency helps
Mhm.
me to be like, okay, I know where I am. I know what we're going to be doing. Like I
Mhm.
can see, like I don't know. I just, if
Even
I'm going out and I'm part of me likes to if I'm going to a new city, I like to kind of just explore and look around. But
Right.
most of the time I have a map and I'm like, okay, I know where I am now. Okay, here, I'm here, I'm on these streets. I just need to go up, 2
That's a good
blocks.
analogy. That's a
Yeah.
really good. Even though I record my lectures and I walk this, I know we all do in the NOS program. We walk our students through and we do it in front of them, and then we have them do it, right?
Yep.
And I record it and I put the lectures up on, I put those recordings up on the class share, right? They can all get to it. But I also in my agenda give them links to other resources that will walk them through the same thing. And what's funny is those students that won't read that initially, they'll email me and go, "How do I do this?" Well, you can watch the video. Oh, well, I can't get whatever. I can't get to the video. Oh, well, perfect. It's in the check the email I sent out on Monday that has a link in it that will take you to the page that will walk you through it. Now they have to look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I as when this class started, I got an email from a student just now about that same thing. So I said, check the video. Okay, can't get it, whatever. Go look at the agenda I sent you on Monday. There's a link in there. Click that link. And he just emailed me back and said, got it. We're good now.
The problem is people these days don't read.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Was
That's
that
what
Don? Was that Don
another
Souza
faculty
saying
member
that?
came up and was who did you, oh, Don? No,
Don, yeah.
Dion, another
I
faculty
thought I
member.
heard Don Souza there for a minute. That's kind of our thing.
They read everything backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, it's not in a video. What? Well, actually it is. You just you gotta read first and then find the video. Okay, so having it on there, having it in there in the syllabus, the start module, asking the students to reflect on how the course technologies align with the learning materials, yada, yada. That's what we just talked about. Having a discussion, so just a verbal, to talk about the reflection of objectives to outcomes. If you're doing it at the beginning, it's great because you already have the syllabus and you're talking about the outcomes. If that's something that you don't bring up regularly in your class, I'm a fan of, like, I do it at the beginning of every class. This class, I say, okay, here's the alignment, guys. We're doing this, and this is how it aligns to the overall college. This is how it aligns to the skill standards, which is our, I would say, program learning outcomes in the TLC, and then how it relates to the course learning outcomes. Learning mastery gradebook, that's something maybe we could talk about a little bit later, but that's something that Tracy is an expert. Tracy is someone who's experimenting with the master gradebook, with setting up the outcomes. It's something that I hope it's actually something in the TLC that we're working on to try to put together some programming, some training on how to set up the outcomes in Canvas so that you can have it and pull them into your classes and pull them into individual assignments. But that's something that we'll talk about later. Oh, it's actually something down here at the bottom. So, but for now, let's talk about the alignment with the program level outcomes. So, I don't know, I was looking through and thought we talked about it before, and I'm sure we've mentioned it, especially around the all I can think of is in and out outcomes and assessment day, because that was, where we had to fill out our PLO reports. But this is aligning course level outcomes to the program level outcomes. And it was at Outcomes and Assessment Day where I played a video from the Digital Entertainment and Design. Sean Gary and Chris Felch made a video about how they set up and kind of re-examined and rebuilt their program learning outcomes to make sure that they align with industry standards. I think most of you all are doing that, where you're seeing what industry needs, and then you're making sure that your programs align and then courses align into that. But I'm going to give you all a second here to read this, and then we can talk about course level to program level outcome alignment. All right, so that's a little bit about PLOs, program level outcomes, mainly talking about how making sure your course level outcomes are aligned. I think this is something that we cover in our PAMs, the program assessment maps. That's kind of that, if we had the course maps that we were just talking about, these are course level. The PAMs, the program assessment maps, would be that higher level where we have our PLOs, and then how in each course where those line up. I know that we all have those because that's something that we just worked on recently at the outcomes and assessment day. Does anybody have anything that they wanted to talk about related to that? Does anybody have alignment, or does anybody talk about program level outcomes in their course anywhere, whether just verbally or in the syllabus or other?
I used to, and I was just thinking, and by I mean I used to, it was something that it was in my syllabus, right? And the way I framed it for students was, hey, this by the end of the program, this is what we hope that you'll be able to do.
Mhm.
But I was just thinking that I know in simple syllabus it pulls our CLOs
Mhm.
indirectly, but I'm not 100% certain if it pulls in the PLOs.
It does not.
And I was just like, when you brought this indicator up, I was like, I went back to thinking about going through my syllabus for each course, earlier this week, and I'm like, I don't think the PLOs are in there. So that's something that I guess all of us should be aware of, particularly those that want to cover it. You can add stuff into a simple syllabus. You can add sections. So that's something that I guess I'll have to add in if I want to continue to at least have them in there.
Yeah, and I feel like they used to have them. It was part of the, again, it was called something else. They weren't called that. They were called well, y'all are here longer than me. So what was it called? They weren't called PLOs. They were called just program outcomes? No.
Are you thinking of the core abilities for the college-wide learning outcome?
Oh yeah, I think I'm getting it mixed up. I'm thinking of the
Yeah.
core abilities.
Well,
That was more CWLOs, right?
right. Yeah. And the CWLs are sort of framed by what are the former core abilities. There's just more of them now, and
Right.
they're stated like outcomes. But anyway,
So
yeah,
that, okay. So that yeah, I was confused, but maybe yeah, I don't know about the program. You said you used to have them in there. Kelly, what did you have them in there, or did you have something that you wanted
You
to?
know, I did, but I don't now because some of our courses, so program level is the program, right? So some of our courses, though, although they tie to the program, are also standalones. So they could, back to industry.
Mm.
And we have certificates that for like specific courses. And so it caused, I'm not going to say it caused total confusion, but it did cause some confusion to students who were not in the program. They were only doing a certificate or a couple of classes for
Oh.
back to industry.
Mm. So is that's why y'all took them out?
Yeah,
I feel like that could be stated to reduce confusion if people are like, what are these?
right, right.
But I don't know why I haven't even thought of that. I'm, working with simple syllabus and trying to get that working for everybody, but I'm sure there's a reason why, but I
Yeah,
don't know. For me, I like the alignment. Like I said, I like to see how
right.
everything is it goes up the ladder, but
Well, we kind
um
of, I mean, we focus on the courses that we teach and those outcomes. And then we've already, as a team, mapped those outcomes to our program level, right?
yeah.
To make sure that all our courses are needed and verified and validated and
Mhm,
we're
mhm.
heading in the right direction. But as far as the syllabus goes, I,
Yeah, I'm talking
we,
about like syllabus, student awareness, if students know
right.
what they are. Because I do think that those are important, especially if those are the
Like put
uh
those in for the, and state this is for the degree
or this
uh,
is what industry is looking for.
oh, I see. Okay.
Like in
Yeah.
because as I was saying, the digital entertainment went in, they did their research, they saw what, they're going through resume job descriptions and seeing, what are they asking for in this field, and then how can we turn those into, clear outcomes that are general enough so that the course level outcomes can be aligned to them.
And don't make
um
too many of them either.
that was another thing too. They said
Yeah.
they used to have like 8 or something, but then I think they cut them down to 5
I think it
or something.
depended on what year. This is before you came here. It
Yeah, I think
depended on
it
who
used to
was
be a lot,
involved at the
right?
time. Yeah.
Mm,
Every year we were told something different for a while.
wow.
But,
Things are always changed. I know it's so hard. It's so hard to get something that is, gonna stand the test of time. Um,
yeah.
but then at the same time, so they also in that video were saying like we don't want to tie it to Photoshop skills. Instead of saying like you need to be proficient or like you need to be able to do this, this, and this in Photoshop, they changed it to you need to be proficient in the most, you know, standard graphic design tool or something like that. Whenever we're doing stuff with AI, it's like, okay, we don't want to always do ChatGPT because ChatGPT might not be the, best thing for people to use. Whatever chatbot or whatever large language model you use, we try to use that so that it can be, you don't have to change it all the time. Okay, so for the assignment for this one, investigate how program level outcomes map to your course level outcomes. Hopefully I think everybody's done that in the PAM. Discuss what you find with your colleagues and the guided pathway teams. That's what we did at Outcomes and Assessment Day. Add explanations to assignments, discussion, and quizzes detailing how module level objectives and course level outcomes connect to the program. So this is, if it's not added into the specific like assignment or discussion, but Kelly said that he talks about it with his students and says, okay, we're doing this, we're learning this, notepad, whatever you said, Linux notepad, and how we use this one
Nano and Vi. Yeah.
into the industry. Write an explanation to include in your syllabus, briefly detailing how the module level objectives and course level outcomes for your course support the student achieving program level outcomes. that's something that we were just talking about with Derek, and hopefully that's something I got to talk about with my team. There's got to be a reason why we didn't do it. I just don't know that reason why right now. So more updates next week. I'll let y'all know what we in the TLC think about that. And then a survey or discussion to ask students for feedback about how well the learning technologies connect. So I think if y'all were to like, you know, this all seems like a lot, but this kind of thing seems like low-hanging fruit to have a discussion or to have a survey. I'm a big fan. I'm not a fan of doing surveys, but I'm a fan of giving surveys as long as they're like super simple and like, you know, yes or no. I really can't do the Likert scale of like 1 to 5. That just takes too much energy to
I can't get my students to do them. They
well, yeah,
just,
I mean,
you
that's
know
what
what
I'm
I
saying.
mean?
Like nobody likes to do a survey, so
And then they all get paranoid thinking the link is like some freaking malware, and you know what I mean? It's like, guys, I wouldn't give you a link if it was malware, you know? Don't worry, you're safe, but they don't trust me.
well, if you're well, yeah, I know it's tricky when you're online. If you're in class, I feel like you could give like a paper thing, right? It could be like a on the way out, like everyone fill out this thing before you leave, and then but you know, having a discussion. I think Tarla said that he has a discussion with his students. Don?
We used to do that in the classroom. And we used to set it up as an extra credit assignment just to
Yeah.
give them a little incentive.
Mhm.
And we were told by the Teaching and Learning Center that we can't do that.
Busted.
Yep. Yeah.
The TLC that I work for?
I will not name any names, but yes,
Because for the problem was the extra credit part, or the problem was
yes,
the
the
survey
extra
part?
credit part. Offer an
Oh,
extra credit for the completing the survey.
oh.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
I don't know. Extra
we're still
credit
just trying to
is
get
a
them to do it. But like Kelly said,
slippery slope.
Well, does it tie to your course level outcome? You know?
Well, there we go. You can make it an actual assignment. But I don't know. Yeah, like I said, it's the alignment. If it's something, I don't know. I feel like it's good information for the course and you know how to improve the course, but I don't know,
that's one of the things we would tell all the students. The reason why you guys have to do this, there's a couple things for it, but the main reason is we use them to
Mhm.
improve the course for the next coming class.
Yeah.
Things that you liked out of it,
And the
things that you think
reason
were
this
better,
course is so
right,
good is because the
of
people
a
in the
previous class. Yeah.
I mean, there's some ways that you can word it.
You know, an example of that happened to me recently over the last like 3 quarters. I was using some curriculum that the labs were having issues, and I wanted the students to be honest. So they gave me feedback and the publisher, and over the break, the publisher completely revamped and moved their labs to another platform, and now we're going to monitor that to see how they do. You know, are the students enjoying this better? Are they getting more out of it? But
So
it's
you
all,
tell that story before you say, all right, we're gonna do a survey. Let me tell you all the story. And then
but I'm allowing them to like take ownership of it. So I
Mhm.
tell them, if you have an issue, you need to go on the publisher's site and you need to submit a ticket. Then email me. And then I was
Mm.
collecting the emails. Then we talk about it in class, you know, at the beginning or end of class. But it did actually make a change, and now we're gonna see how that goes over this quarter and the next couple.
Cool.
I hope.
Well, hope you get some good
No
insight.
extra no extra credit though, right?
I don't know. I don't know who is saying no extra credit. I'll talk with my team, but I don't know. A little extra credit here and there doesn't hurt anyone, I think, but don't quote me on that. All right. So real quick before we end, we're coming up on the hour here. If y'all didn't know this, in every module there is a reflection that's built in to the outro. There's a list of starter topics, and speaking of feedback, there's no extra credit for this, and you're not going to get any credit for this. But if you want to talk about your experience going through this course, we recommend to go into the discussion board and post in here. And then also, I don't think I mentioned this enough, but if you do put links to your ePortfolio, you do get a chance to have your work that you've done added on to the State Board, Washington State Board of Technical and Community Colleges, whenever they get their actual course together, then you can have your examples put on there for all the other colleges to see in the state. So those are always there for you all. I know y'all are very busy, so I don't expect anybody to go in there, but it is helpful for me to go and read and see how you all are getting along with the topic or getting on with the topic. So thank you all for coming on this first Saturday back after break, or sorry, Saturday. My mind's already on the weekend. This first Friday, next Friday, same time, same place, and have a good week. I hope your second week
Yeah.
goes well.
Before you take off, I got a question, Ron.
Yep, I'll stick around for a
What-
couple minutes, but I gotta
Okay.
get going. So everybody else, thank you. See
Thank
next
you.
time.
Thanks.